The Russia-Ukraine crisis has changed everything. The geopolitical instability that it has caused on the macroeconomic factors of supply chains and oil and logistics across the entire world has been nothing short of scary. What's happened in Russia and Ukraine, the fact that a dictatorial authoritarian regime decided to invade an entire democratic sovereign nation, has had intense ramifications for all businesses. And it's moments like this that happen in the world where it's not just a game, like this is real stuff on the line that shows which companies, which technologies are able to help mitigate and hopefully stop some of the problems that exist. One of the reasons I'm invested in Palantir, and one of the reasons I've been an avid investor in Palantir even throughout the past couple of months, is because I believed, my original thesis was from about a year ago when I started buying them, which is that their technology truly is some of the most important technologies in the world. Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, did an interview in January of 2022 where he said, look, things might get bad. And it's not like he's a psychic. His argument was just that there are a lot of things happening in our world right now that make the world not as safe as it was. And as a result of that, there's going to need to be technologies that are utilized when things go bad. One of the examples he gave was that what if the US got into a war with China? And if that's the case, all of our supply chains, all of our logistics overnight get flipped upside its head because all of that exists in China. And inevitably the Russia-Ukraine thing happened, and Karp kind of looked like a genius because he was saying there are these issues that happen in the world and we can't just assume everything is so great. Here's a short little clip that I wanted to show from a nice little channel on YouTube called Palantir Bite Size that takes up a lot of clips and like puts them in short videos. And I want to talk about Karp speaking about meeting Zelensky, who is the president of Ukraine. One of the reasons this is so important is because Alex Karp was one of the first CEOs, and Volodymyr Zelensky even said this, that came to visit Ukraine after the entire crisis has happened, and to offer their support and aid in any way. So let's hear what the CEO of Palantir thinks about the Russia-Ukraine crisis.
Tell you where I want to start this conversation this afternoon, which is that you took a trip, which I think is a milestone, historic, in that I believe you were the first American CEO to take a visit to Ukraine about a month ago. And I was hoping you could maybe take us behind the scenes of that visit, of that trip, of meeting with Zelensky, and what that was about.
Well, it was kind of a culmination of a lot of stuff, and it was kind of very gratifying when you're building something. But it really, the trip began, we were in Davos, and we did this
Davos, Switzerland, right?
Interview, and there were a number of people from the Ukrainian mission there. Our product, some people know our product well. There's some of our products are well known, but we started off by building a product in the anti-terror context, which allows you to bring together large data sets and in such a way that it's easy to find people. What made it special was that, despite what people believe, a very heavy focus on data protection, and that meant you could also use this product in war zones where people have different level of access. There are a lot of things that kind of lay people don't understand about war products. Typically, we think, oh, people involved in spying and war won't care about data protection, civil liberties. And maybe they don't in the conventional sense. Many do in the conventional sense. There's more of a political divide than people realize. But actually, purely empirically, in a war zone, you can't use a product that doesn't track the pedigree of the data because you have very different access to what's going on in a war. So most people in the war don't know where your data is coming from, how you're figuring out where the enemy is, what your human sources are. That all has to be protected while collaborating with people. You can't do that unless you have a product that both organizes the data and protects, and has a rigorous access control model that can be changed to allow people to come in and come out. So we had built a product like that, and we had also, this was almost 2 decades ago. It powers most of the Western world, not all of the Western world, but especially Europe, and it's been used typically by Intel people. And then we have a number of other products. A lot of what our products have been used for can't really be discussed in public, but we have a product that will allow you to get data from a satellite and put it in the hands of a warfighter, allow the warfighter to figure out. That's been used by special forces for a long time. And as we can imagine, if you are in a war situation where you're fighting a large conventional adversary, you would want these products. But what's particularly interesting about this war situation is it turns out that hybrid war, meaning software plus low-grade munitions plus heroism, outperforms conventional war, which is one of the big lessons. And we've been in the background on this on the software side. So I met with people who knew our product very well, and then thought it would be both important for my company, but also honestly, I didn't realize at the time, but I was the first, I think, non-government person, CEO of any company to go. And there's some reasons it's actually can be dangerous, although the major cities are open for business and like kind of look like Aspen, except for there's a bombed tank. But then there's like a lot of war action going on. So,
all right, we will stop it there. And so there's a lot of stuff that Karp said in there. Hopefully the volume wasn't too bad. The volume's not the greatest on that clip, so I'll try to make it a little bit better. But look, there's a lot of stuff that Karp said that I think is incredibly important. Number one, he said he was one of the first non-governmental people to talk to Ukraine and talk to Zelensky in a way that was offering support and aid. So it wasn't just, hey, we're going to give you billions of dollars of aid and you can go take it and then go use it in some way. It was, we are going to support you in a meaningful way. Now, what does it mean to support them in a meaningful way? Well, what does a country that's in a wartime scenario need? They need technology that helps them win the freaking war. I mean, like, at the end of the day, that's what they need. So if you need technology that helps you win the war, the question becomes, well, what type of technology are you going to be able to create? And what Palantir has done, and the reason, and this Karp was saying, despite what people say, they've actually built a product that's rooted in data protection, rooted in privacy, rooted in civil liberties. And in the mix of all those things I just mentioned, you get something called cross-communication of data that is protected. Meaning, when Palantir was created after 9/11, the whole point was the CIA needs to see some data, the FBI needs to see some data, but they can't communicate with each other because there are certain confidential things that both of them don't need to know. Well, embedded within the technology, what if we could centralize and curate all that data in a way that was actually meaningful to each of the parties that are consuming that data at scale? That's the beauty of their technology. That's something that's very, very hard to be able to do. And that's what they've been able to do and figure out. So when he's talking about you get data from a satellite that helps a wartime fighter in mission critical situations, because that data from the satellite through their Meta Constellation product that doesn't get talked about that much, but it's just an incredible product with amazing forms of technology with edge AI, it's able to actually give data back to the wartime fighter in real time because of edge AI. It doesn't need to be connected to a cloud or any type of internet. And as a result of that, that wartime fighter can then make a decision that quite literally is life or death. And so those types of scenarios are where their technology can be utilized in. It is obviously built for defense, and it's built to be utilized by the people that need it. So it should be in the right hands because of a technology that's so powerful. But it's the type of technology that very few companies are able to create from a software and hardware perspective. And so Palantir was able to create that. We don't know the extent of what deal they got with Ukraine or if they gave it for free, whatever it may be. We do know their COO, Sham Sankar, said they've explicitly been working with companies that have been affected by the Ukraine crisis, specifically for supply chain and logistics concerns. But in the context of actual defense, what they've been able to give to the Ukrainian government and to the Ukrainian military, we don't know. We're going to see over the next couple quarters what those deals look like. They have said expect significant volatility for the upside for Q2 because of governmental spending. And this Russia-Ukraine event might be the catalyst for that governmental spending to increase, because if those countries realize, hey, or if Ukraine realized, hey, this software is good, even if we got it for free right now, we might launch a longer term deal to be able to protect us. And additionally, the rest of Europe, which is what Karp talked about in that clip, might also seem to recognize the value of this technology in mitigating or stopping a potential attack from happening or something bad from happening in general. The world is going to a data-driven world. The world is still not nice. There are still dictatorial regimes. Democracy does not exist everywhere. So what company will become the most important company in the world? Well, it will probably be a company that actually helps and saves and protects democracy from ulterior motives. And Palantir right now seems to be like the only company that's actually doing that. So if you actually go deep into Palantir, see the CEO talk about it, see these real-time use cases for it, you start to get a little bit more understanding of what the company can do. Now, the business and the financials, that's a whole other question. They have a lot of stock-based compensation. There's a lot of stuff, but that's one of the core theses that I have tried to analyze in terms of just figuring out, should I be buying this company for the next 5 years? Do I see this company having a monumental role in society over the next 5 years? And with things like this, I've concluded that they probably will. So thank you guys for listening. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on how you feel about Palantir's involvement in Russia and Ukraine, and I'll see you in the next one.